Well, hello Clarendon and welcome back to another digital art lesson. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Ben Dumas and I will be your art teacher this year. Today we'll be talking about the fascinating mind of artist M.C. Escher. And we're also going to be talking about what an optical illusion is. For today's project, you're going to need a sketchbook or a piece of paper. You're going to need a pencil and an eraser, and you're also going to need some coloring materials. Today, I would like for you all to use markers if you have them at home. If not, you could use crayons or colored pencils. Okay, so let's break down the word optical illusion and dimension really quick before we get started. So an optical illusion is an experience of seeming to see something which does not exist or is other than it appears. So I underline the word seeming here because you're not really sure exactly it is what you're seeing. It's hard to differentiate if it's real or not real, okay? The word optical just means relating to sight, okay? Division, that's why I drew these eyeballs here and this little optical illusion behind it. An illusion is just to wrongly perceive or interpret something, okay? So you're looking at it, in this example for our 3D hand, I'm wrongly interpreting that it is coming off the page because you and I know that it's actually not, right? It is still flat, okay? So that would be the example in this 3D hand drawing. So dimension relates to the width or the depth or the height of something, okay? And you've all learned that a square, for example, or a circle is a 2D object, and a cube or a sphere is a three-dimensional or a 3D object. And how do you make 3D objects appear to be 3D on a 2D surface or on a piece of paper, whatever it is that you are drawing on? It can be a little tricky, and we're going to talk about how we do that today by using specific lines and shading to make things appear three-dimensional. Now we're going to be talking about how we can use different lines, like curved lines, to create more dimension in our artwork. Some of you maybe drew a still life last week for the art project, and you maybe drew something that had dimension. Like this baseball is not a circle, it is a sphere, okay? So how do you draw a sphere and make it look like that on paper? It can be a little tricky to do. So you have a circle, okay? How do you make it look like a sphere? Well, you would use some shading techniques to give it some dimension, and then you would also put in a shadow. And the shadow is going to also make it more three-dimensional, okay? So if I were to really shade this in, there would be a highlight over here somewhere from where the light was coming, okay? So the lines that you use in your drawing today are going to be extremely important. If you were to just do straight lines across on this hand, it wouldn't work. The optical illusion would not even work. So you have to use these very curved lines. And the more angle you put on your curve, the more the hand is going to look like it is coming towards you or off of the page. Okay, so here I have my hand very lightly outlined on my page. I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some of these lines that are going to make it look three-dimensional. So I'm going to do a straight line up until my outline, and then I will do a curved line down to the other side, and then I will do a straight line again. And I will repeat that over and over again on my hand. Now, how big your angle of your curve is matters, and it will make it look like it's coming off of the page more so if you have a higher angle of a curve. Okay, so keep that in mind as you are putting in your lines today. So as you might be able to see, it's already kind of starting to look like it is coming off of our page here. You can all sort of see the effect. It's starting to happen. It's starting to give this hand more dimension, and it is creating a sort of optical illusion to make it look like it is coming off of the page. Now, if I were to keep going with this, I were to keep adding more colors, lots of different colors, and it will look very beautiful and three-dimensional. There's lots of fun optical illusion projects that you can do at home, and we'll talk more about them in class. But here's a couple that I chose to do for today's project. Here we have a ladder coming out of my sketchbook here. Here we have a staircase going into my sketchbook. So this is using different perspective and dimension to make things appear as they are not, right? Obviously, there's not a hole here in my paper. It just looks that way, okay? We'll talk more about impossible objects, like this one here, this never-ending shape. M.C. Escher was obsessed with impossible objects and never-ending shapes and things like the infinity and stuff of that nature. Okay, so when I see you all in your classrooms, we will talk more about artist M.C. Escher. But I wanted to show you some of his artwork today so you have an idea of who he was while you're working on your optical illusion project. Because actually, if you type in optical illusion on your computer, M.C. Escher's name pops up. Okay, so he was that much associated with illusion, optical illusion. So here's one that he did. This was part of a tessellation series that he did. This kind of tile-like design where things beautifully and intricately fit together. He did a whole series of these different tessellations, okay? And as I said before, we will look more in depth at artist M.C. Escher, and we'll check out some of his other artwork, but here are a couple examples. See, this one was done in 1948. So this was very different in the time that it was produced. I've always liked M.C. Escher. I've loved his art since I was in high school. My brother introduced him to me, and I've loved it ever since. So I hope you enjoy some of his art as well. Okay, Clarendon, well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I look forward to seeing some of your artwork as well as seeing you in your classrooms this week. And we will again talk more about artist M.C. Escher. Have a great week, and I will see you next time.